Paul, I'm going to quote a recent blog post of yours to get us started. What are we as a transportation profession doing about preparing for the biggest revolution that we will have seen on our road network since the invention of the car some 120 years ago? Why have we not already started planning for this inevitable paradigm shift that will transform not just our roads, but society as well? What should we do to prepare? Those were questions you asked on the Institute of Transportation Engineers blog, and we're talking about autonomous vehicles, driverless cars. Now, your blog post makes the assumption that the technology is close, that we'll be seeing these cars on the street, and we need to plan accordingly. How close are we?
And when I started researching this about 2 years ago, it was 20, 25, 30 years away. But since then, some dramatic developments have been announced in the press. And the automakers now, we're talking about GM, Volvo, Nissan, and BMW and Continental have linked up. They're all saying that we'll have autonomous vehicles sometime around 2020. Now, it's important that we define what autonomous is, because there are degrees of autonomy. Okay, and so what I'm talking about, and what I think most people want to talk about, is the fully autonomous car, the car that will be certified safe to drive unmanned, because that's the big revolution that I was talking about in my blog post. So that's the key thing. When they can drive unmanned, that's when society transforms. And I'll happily explain more about that later. So the automakers are saying we'll have autonomous vehicles by 2020, but they're basically telling us, but the driver will always need to be in the loop, and you can always take control when you want to. But the problem with that is that this random human error generating machine, that's you or I, that has these accidents, these collisions and crashes, well, I think we ought to be taken out of the loop. Now, the automakers are pushing us towards semi-autonomous vehicles. They're carrying on their 120-year-old business model of incremental development, which has served them very well for 120 years, and they want to keep taking us one step at a time closer to full autonomy. But Google have come along out of left field a bit, because they're not an automaker. They run a search engine. They're an advertising company. What are they doing? Well, they happen to be funding one of the biggest artificial intelligence programs in the world. And the key to this technology is the artificial intelligence. And Google have had a program that they've been operating on public roads since about 2009. And they are saying that we will have this technology in the public hands, the self-driving car, by 2017, 2018. Which is absolutely astounding. And I believe that the product that they will be offering up initially will require a driver to be in the driving seat, because that's the way all the laws are factored at the moment. But I think very quickly their technology will be proven good enough that it can be allowed to operate unmanned.